Welcome back to the Art of MMA on the Kick and Post YouTube channel and podcast. I am your host, Amal Thompson, and this is
Roger.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Second numbered card during the
Yes.
Paramount era of the UFC, UFC 325, Volk Lopez Part Two.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say a pretty successful card. Definitely, in my opinion, if we're going card for card, the first one was a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I enjoyed this one as well. What
Yeah.
says you, sir?
Uh, it was good overall. I wouldn't be alone in saying that um, a numbered card should have been what this one was, but at the same time, it did have Volkanovski on it. So from that perspective alone, like I get it. Um, the fights were not as as exciting as some of the other ones were,
Mm-hmm.
but there were some really good fights on this. So some people really got some shine, and deservedly so. Um, you had a few up and comers, and for the second fight on Paramount, I can see a strategy where they're trying to get people to on their way up and kind of build
Mm-hmm.
people. You know, you got their attention with the Gaethje Patty fight, and now, hey, look at this guy. Hey, look at this guy. Hey, look at this guy. They've got a few guys just loaded and ready to go. And so from that perspective, it was really good to see some of those. And yeah, it was. I think it was good, especially since there's really, it grabs more attention being a numbered card, but at the same time, you don't really pay anything extra for it, so you can't really complain either way. So I think it was good.
Yeah, obviously, with it being a big crowning achievement for Volk, it was, I guess, necessary for it to be a number. But like you said, you're not paying extra these days, so don't be
Yeah,
mad at it.
right.
Um, I was not able to see most of the card. I went back and watched, well, most of the early card. I went back and watched the finish from Nakamura against Sebastian Cezale. Um,
Mhm.
I was impressed by the technique. Uh, but outside of that, I did not watch most of that well, I'm about to call it an undercard, most
Well,
of that early prelim.
yeah.
Um, I know you were able to tune into a few. Were there any like moments that really stuck out to you before you get to the actual prelims?
Um, yeah, I mean, there were some good fights. That first fight was a good one. You had, Solon Grombo, against Louis, and Louis won the fight. He was more aggressive, but the hands on Solon Grombo were really good. He shows a lot of potential. He's a really young guy. Um, he's out of China, and even though he lost the fight, he's probably somebody to watch in the future. Hopefully he works on some of the grappling exchanges, and even if it's grappling defense, a lot of times these days, like, people have realized that they don't have to be a world beater at grappling. They just got to be able to defend it. And if he can at least put that into it, he can win some fights. Um, so that one was good. The Nakamura knockout was good on that one, and then the Kim Marfan fight was pretty good. Um, but the Olfi versus Yiza fight um,
Pretty
is one.
controversial.
Yeah, and I thought Yiza won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he lost the first round probably, but won the last two, and I didn't really think it was very close. And so that one, it was a little baffling to me. Maybe I go back and watch it and I think differently, but on first watch, I would say I thought Yiza won that. I didn't think there was any reason for him to not walk away with a victory in that. But again, go back and watch it a second time. I've had my mind changed before. Um, so and that's really your prelims. A lot of talent, a lot of guys coming up to keep an eye on. I didn't see anybody that I was saying this guy's your next champ. And so if he's there, I just haven't recognized it yet. Um, so yeah.
Maybe it's a moment in Yiza's career where we'll go back and point to the kind of one that got away and what
Hmm.
could lead into him maybe fighting with a little bit more ferocity, not letting it go to the cards. I've
Yeah.
seen a few fighters take bad decisions personally and
Mhm.
change their fight style a little bit, and
Yep.
they might have created a monster. Who knows? Um,
Let's hope
I
so,
wouldn't be
because
against it. Yeah,
he was nice with his hands. So let's
yeah.
hope they did create that monster.
um, we were hyping up Oben Elliott going in there and being a good striker. And I mean, he did good damage against Jonathan
Yeah.
McAuliffe.
Yeah.
Uh, got into a grappling exchange that resulted in him getting rear naked chokes, essentially.
Mhm.
It was odd. I'm not gonna say anything that was fishy about it. Apparently, circulating that looked a little bit fishy. I am not the wrestling guy on this one. That guy is to my left, to my right, depending on how this edit works out. But um, just real unfortunate when it seems like he was having success. Where we figured he would have success.
Mhm.
Do you remember much about that fight?
I don't remember a whole lot about, um, any controversy on the grappling exchanges. I've seen a few things here lately that seemed a little fishy to me, things where it's like, maybe I've seen people in the past do this and they seem to be holding back. And I've wondered to myself, what's going on here? Like, there's been a few fights. I think we talked about it on last week's card, where it was like this person could have went in for the finish and they just stayed so patient. Like, there's this emphasis to stay patient. And I've seen that happen a few times where in the past somebody would jump on the opportunity for a finish, and sometimes it doesn't work out for them. But the Atiba fight, he could have gotten him out in the first round, I think, and he was just super patient, like extra patient. And so, but when I was watching it, I didn't remember any controversial thing. It was, I think the submission was in there, and if you wanted to say he got there, maybe the other guy's letting him do something or whatever, the submission was in. So it was a legit submission. Now maybe he gave it up and that argument could be made, but I didn't see anything fishy when I was watching it. So I didn't have any kind of, thoughts that maybe he was doing something out of line.
I mean, that's positive to hear, though. We don't want everything that happens from here on out because of one bad situation
Yeah.
have an asterisk next to it. Um, Especially when it's such a big win for the opponent.
And I love the
Uh,
controversy. So if I'd have seen it, I'd have,
you'd have threw
I'd
it
have
out
said
there.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're with it a little bit, but nah, it's good to hear that it wasn't anything too crazy. Um, and Jacob Malkoon fought a really clean fight against Torres
Hmm.
Finney. I know on our last pod, I debuted a fighter named Torian Finney. He did
Yeah.
not show up.
Hell, neither
The
did
guy,
Torres. So
yeah, Torres was the guy I meant to talk about. And he just looked really slow in there. He reminded me a little bit of this is not a compliment, Trishawn Gore, with his approach and just lack of activity and
yeah.
being worried about the jab and this is a guy who's an elite wrestler. So I don't think he was worried about the takedown necessarily. I think he just realized he was out man when it came to the speed element.
Hmm.
And he was getting his face jabbed off for a lot of the first round, and the fight didn't really go in any other direction for him.
Yeah.
There's rumors that he got injured. I saw a couple spots where he might have hurt something,
Oh, for
but
sure.
you're in there.
Yeah.
But you're in there, so
Yeah.
you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Torres Finney fight? Got you excited for him, and kind of was a letdown.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of a letdown. The first thing I noticed watching him fight, whenever Malkoon has very nice jabs. That's what won him the fight. Um, in the first from the bell, Malkoon would throw a jab, and Finney would, kind of freak out. It looked like he didn't look like he had a lot of head movement, but he also just didn't seem like he was ready to get punched in the face. Like he didn't seem like he had a lot of experience getting punched in the face or getting punches thrown at him. And so he kind of a lot of jerky movements, a lot of like the punch was faster than his hands going up near his face. So you would see the punch come through and then you'd see his hands go up and then he'd bring them back down and get punched again. And then he was completely thrown off from the beginning just from a simple jab, which speaks to volumes on how important a jab is, but also he just didn't seem ready for that moment. But I will tell you, I watched this fight on the edge of my seat because the harder punches in this fight, I think, were landed by Finney. The He didn't have many of them, but he would just swing, and every now and then he would connect, and you could tell it got to Malkoon when he did. And he would not quit. Whenever you thought he was quitting, he would go down, and you kind of have those vibes of Derek Lewis. He's down, but then he's getting back up. He's working back up. He did not give up in that fight. He did not. Um, he didn't generate offense, but he also would not quit the fight. He was getting up. He was defending himself. He was trying to get back up, even when you knew he hurt his leg. They even showed some of it. Um, where I think he took a misstep and, whether his ACL or whatever is out, I'm not sure, but he was hobbling afterwards. But he wouldn't give up. And for that, like, if you have that grit, if you can get the skill, then you've actually got a good shot.
Mhm.
He needs somebody there with really good boxing that is just gonna, throw, and he needs to just get used to that. I think that's number one, because if he can keep his composure when that's happening, he's got a shot to make his wrestling. His takedown attempts didn't really seem like he committed to them.
Yeah,
So we really didn't get to see his wrestling. He didn't really tie him up. He kind of slipped off and then stopped. He didn't shoot and then reshoot or anything like that. You didn't see a lot of fakes for that. But he's got the heart. Um, but he's got to generate more activity if he's gonna do something, and then he's also got to get used to having somebody throw on him. So,
that's true. That's true. It's a starting point, you know.
but
Him go
Malkoon looked good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looked
he
great.
looked good.
9-1. No, that was McAuliffe. 9-3, big win against an undefeated prospect.
Hmm.
No questions at all as
And I
to who
think he
won
was
that
coming
fight.
off of, what did they say, 3 years off, or was it a year and a half? It was a
I
good
missed it,
layoff he
yeah. It
had.
was a summer layoff, yeah.
Yeah, it was a
But
pretty good layoff.
it was very big for him to get that win. The Cam Rouston, Cody Brundage fight, Cam did his thing. Cody ended up, kind of just having to shell up. Um, and I won't even call that really trying to survive. Just kind of got outworked. Big win for Cam Rouston. Did you see it any other way?
Cam Rouston is probably a superstar in the making.
Yeah.
Um, he's skilled, he's big, he's tall and long for the division that he's in.
Hmm.
Um, there's no way around it. I believe he trains with Izzy down there at City Kickboxing. He is, I don't know if he's their number one prospect out there, but he's
He's probably up
probably
there.
probably way up there. He's very good. Um, he seems to have a little bit of charisma about him, so he wasn't, he can generate some activity and some eyes on him. But as far as his fighting goes, it was very good. Um, Cody Brundage, man, he was throwing. he
He
was
was.
he was having a little bit of success, even though he was getting beat. It's kind of hard to say that, like, you're getting beat up. He was clearly losing that, but he had a weird technique, and Bisbee kept talking about it. He's like, he almost does a full squat, and he's going to get kneed in the face. But when he did that full squat and sprung, he connected a few times. It was a different technique, probably something Ralston hadn't seen. I'd never seen anybody quite do that. He let him back him up to the cage, and then he squatted and went and threw. But in those shots, had one of them landed, it would have not been good for
Bad
Ralston.
news. Bad news.
But they're just not accurate, and he couldn't outwork him in a fight that way. But it was great. I'm excited to see Cam Ralston. I think he's going to be um, a top 10 fighter, at
Ooh,
least. Now, I
okay.
don't know if he'll ever get a belt, but I think he'll be a top 10 fighter. I think we'll be talking about him for a few years to come. So, what do you
Keep an
think?
eye on Cam Ralston. Keep an eye on Cam Ralston. I just saw a good work rate. I saw good pressure. Um, I don't think Cody Brundage was prepared for this level of talent. Like we said on the preview, you with a guy like this and them offering him up in Australia, there's a
Mhm.
plan, right?
Yeah.
And he executed, I think, what the plan was. At 14-3, getting that Cody Brundage win, they could definitely improve the level of talent he goes against in that division.
Mhm.
Um, Middleweight's an interesting one. I don't
Yeah.
know how high we want to jump him in terms of talent to fight, but there's some guys who are kind of struggling that
Yeah.
are good names that you could kind of give him to see where he's actually at. But again, it depends on how quickly we want to accelerate this process.
Yeah, I think you give him somebody good, but I don't think you give him top 15 yet.
Yeah.
I think there's a few people where you see him, Michael Morales, you see him just a couple of times, and you're like, give this kid
Yep, that's it.
the
Yeah.
top. And there's some people where it's like they're going to be good, um, but you don't want to push them along too fast. I don't know what this guy's mind is like. A lot of times that is so dependent on how mentally tough somebody is, on what they can handle. But with him, I think you give him somebody outside of the top 15, but
Yes.
probably top 25, and see how he does. And then if he does good in that one, maybe teeter around the edge of top 15, and then from there he's
I
in.
don't hate that at all. I don't hate that at all. A guy that I feel like you could kind of start shuffling that direction as well is
Mhm.
our boy Quillen Selke. Um,
Ooh, you skipped one.
did I? Oh yeah, Billy Elikana.
Yeah,
We figured he'd get the finish, man, but the first round was kind of scary for a bit. Didn't
it
he get
was very
dropped by Tafa?
he
Yeah.
man, did you see that knockout?
No, I did
Elikana
not
didn't
see the
see it.
knockdown. Yeah, I
It
didn't see the knockdown.
I thought the fight was over. The fact that Elikana came back
Survived it.
so quick, he was oh, man, I've never seen somebody get knocked down like that and keep going, and it coulda just been the way he got caught. He's coming in, his knees bent back the other way, and he just falls, crumples to the ground, and I think the fight is over. He
Recovers.
immediately came back to, and at that point, Tafa was in trouble because that landed flush, and he landed a couple of times on Elikana, and I thought Elikana might go down, but that one, I've never seen somebody buckle like that, and then they're back right away like that.
Back with you.
It
Yeah.
was a great fight. If you didn't see it, go back and watch that fight. Um, Even watching the replay, you're gonna be on the edge of your seat because Tafa has such power in those hands. Um,
Mhm.
but man, Elikana coming off with the victory. Um,
Durability, man.
it is durability, a lot of durability.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got
Very
some what's
important.
this, 3 fights in a row for Elikana? I think it
Mhm.
is. At
And
least
Tafa,
3.
if I'm not mistaken, has dropped 3 or 4 in a row.
Probably. I don't know that he's
Yeah.
with the man, he just hit so hard, you hate to see him outside of it. Um, he
It's
coulda
tough to see, but it's reality of it right
I
now.
mean,
Okay, he's dropped 2 in a row. He had a W in between and then dropped 2 before that.
oof, so 4
So
out of
he's
5.
1 in 4 in his last
Ugh.
5. Yeah.
I know he's
What
putting
do
a
we
lot
do?
into his career. They were talking about how he's been spending so much time out in Thailand. Um, and I mean, he's got he's got the hands. Um, but he's
Yeah,
gotta
he might need to be a bouncer.
I mean, yeah, he'd be great at that.
Yeah, might need to transition careers because it's just looking kind of rough for him right now.
Yeah.
And his brother's not doing too well either. Um, it's odd. It's really an odd situation because, like you said, the talent is there to a certain extent, right? But it's just
Mhm.
still, it's one of those situations where you're like so much raw talent, and it comes to a point where like, okay, when is the talent gonna stop being raw talent? When are we gonna kind of figure it out?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know who to give him. Ella kind of moves on.
Elikana moves on. I still don't see Elikana hitting the top 15 yet
I
in that.
mean,
But I mean, 3 in a row, like it's
You got
gonna
to give
get
him
hard to deny
somebody
him, you know? He's gotta be somewhere up there. Um,
to his detriment, I think, but you got to give him somebody.
well, I don't know if it's to his detriment or not,
Yeah, I think it might be a little
but
bit.
he just keeps winning, you know?
Yeah,
You remember, years back, Florida State with Jameis Winston had went on and won a national title, and the next
yeah,
year, Jameis Winston was there, and they're winning, but they're barely winning.
yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, well, you can't hold them out. They're winning. They're they look, you know, they might not look great, but they're winning every game." It
They're
turns out
winning.
in the
Yeah,
end, they weren't national championship. They weren't a
caliber.
national championship team. And you could see it the whole season, and it almost seems like Elikana's winning, but he's not winning
Hmm.
spectacularly, but he's
Nope.
winning. I mean, this was a good one though. I mean,
That's
this
a
was
good
good. I
comeback.
mean,
A
it's a
sub after
solid.
getting put down on your back, or
Yeah. And I like him.
yeah.
I like to watch him fight. But he just doesn't seem like somebody who's going to be or who is top 15 right now. And that he should be fighting with that competition, but you know, he keeps on winning and it will get hard to deny him. So
Credit where credit's due.
I like the kid. Let's see what he's got.
Credit where credit's due. Um, Salkilled.
Yes,
Salkilled? Am I pronouncing that properly?
I think so.
Yeah.
Kian
Um,
Sal killed.
he said he went in there with no game plan. I think that is crazy. And then in any sport where it's this highest stakes to go in there and fight off instinct at the highest level.
Yeah.
Um, nuts in my opinion. But went in there, fought a clean fight. The submission offered itself up. He
Mm-hmm.
took it. Um, I think he was winning on the feet as well. If it stayed on the feet any longer, probably could have been a spectacular finish there. I think he was winning there, but
He was. Yeah.
the ground game, he outclassed the other dude pretty easily in the ground game.
Yeah.
Round one submission. On to the next. Give him somebody serious. I think we've seen enough to believe that he could get somebody of consequence in that lightweight division. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm ready to see him against some better talent because
You
I
got
think he is
anybody in
of that
mind?
cloth. In the lightweight division,
Yeah.
I'd have to look a little bit closer, but um,
Well, while you're looking,
uh,
let me say this. He's a lanky guy for that division, but
he
he's not
is.
like skinny lanky. He's like he's strong. And he came in, he said in his interview, most people think of him as a striker, but he came in as a grappler.
He did.
Um, and he does have good striking as well. Um, and he was really honestly impressive. Malarkey is tough out, and he's not going to give you anything easy. But Salkeld, complete success.
That lightweight division is a gauntlet, brother.
It is.
Oh my goodness. Um, shoot, man. Ah, I
I
don't know
got
who to give him right now. Who are you thinking?
well. I'm thinking. I see three names on there that
Okay.
two of them I think he could win those fights, and one of them I think would be a great fight. But you know they won't risk it for him. Um, I think he beats Michael Chandler
I think so too.
today. I think he
Yeah.
beats Benil Dariush today.
That was who I was leaning with was Benil Dariush.
I'd love to see him fight Renato Moicano.
Okay, so we're looking at the similar guys. If I was gonna
I
give
don't
him
think
anybody,
Moicano does it. I don't think any of the three do it. Um,
uh,
but I
if
think
anybody takes it, it's Dariush.
yeah, because he
Yeah, if
is.
anybody takes it, it's
Well,
Dariush.
yeah, unless Michael Chandler's on a main card, he tends to
Yeah.
get those main card fights. Dariush doesn't, so um, we'll see. Ruffy's on his way up.
No.
Fares
Yeah.
Ziam is on his way up. Um,
Ignacio is on his way up.
yeah, um,
Because Ignacio, didn't he just beat Um, Fiziev or something.
No, not Fiziev.
Ignacio beat somebody big recently. Ignacio Bahamondes. He beat un momento chat. Ignacio Bahamondes beat. Oh, he lost to Fiziev. He beat Jalen Turner.
But I think bottom. I don't. The only ones in top 15 I see are those
Yes.
three names that are going to give him that shot. You could put him with Manuel Torres,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see anybody else right now that wants to do it. He's probably 2 or 3 fights away.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Ralston are probably in a very similar boat.
Space.
Um, but again, if they win 2 or 3 more fights, they're up there. And
It doesn't take much,
mm-mm.
especially in the way Salkid's fighting. Man, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, first round finishes.
Yeah.
He'll be good.
No, that's your knockout of the year.
It was my knockout of the year. Made me
Mm-hmm.
look pretty good that he won that, and performed very well, but, we'll see what he's got moving forward. I like him.
I like him too. But you know what
W
I don't like? Look, man, it
Shoeys?
wasn't. It wasn't. Man, it wasn't. It wasn't last week, was it? Or was it 2 weeks ago? Where we got on here and we said the heavyweight division needs some life, needs some spunk.
Yes.
Um, and then we come into this fight and Taliesin Teixeira supposed to be correcting some things from that Derek Lewis loss.
Mhm,
Um, getting back in the doing some of the spectacular things that brought him to the UFC
mhm,
as a 6'7" heavyweight. Um, looks interesting from a body mechanics and setup type of perspective. Um, he kind of carries his heavyweight weight very interestingly,
yeah,
to say the
mhm,
least.
mhm.
I feel like if he really pushed it, he could get down to light heavyweight.
How tall is he?
He's six
He's
seven.
quite tall, 6'7".
Yeah, he's 6'7".
I don't know if
Um,
he I mean,
I'm
it's
just seeing how he
physically
carries the weight
possible,
on
but
his frame. It's like weird, but either way, it'd be tough anyway. But the advantage he's supposed to have is quickness and length.
yeah,
Over at Tai Tuivasa especially, who's been out for over a year, who's cutting from 300 plus pounds down. Um, Tai had very many opportunities to win this fight,
yeah.
and it should not have been that way. If
No.
you're the prospect you're supposed to be, you are supposed to get Tai out of there quickly. Um, Tai hit him with some good shots. Tai
Mhm.
just didn't have enough stamina to follow up on those shots.
Yeah, this is I yeah. So, we talked about this, because Taliesin Teixeira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, correct? I
Yeah,
believe he is.
yeah.
And we talked about this with, oh, the names are slipping my mind. Um, the 2 guys that won Worlds, Buchecha and,
Buchecha, yeah.
Vieira, about these guys
Rodolfo, yeah.
coming in and not having cardio, and
Zero.
it's wild to me. Um, there's no reason Teixeira could not have finished this fight,
Mm-hmm.
except he just had no gas. He completely ran out, and it was honestly a little embarrassing for him, you know? He even said at the end how exhausted he was, but
He had
he
to
was
take a knee in the
controlling the
post
whole
fight.
fight.
He had to take a knee in the post fight interview. I was like, oh my goodness,
I mean, I
this
am
is
by no means have I ever been a cardio king in any way, shape, or form. I won't pretend to be, I won't front to
yeah.
be, and even wrestling jujitsu, I am huffing and puffing. Um, but when you get to this level, you can't go out there and look like that. Nobody wants to see you having the fight able to be finished and just not having the ability to finish it because your gas tank ran out. Like,
Yep.
this is what you do for a living. This is what you get paid to do, you know?
Mhm.
Wake up in the morning, go for a run. I mean, every day, every day. Long run that you got to do some
I
interval training. If
I
this
just don't
is
get it.
if this is your life, this is, you know, y- you're
You
top
need some
15 and that
commitment.
you're top 15 and that speaks to the weakness of the heavyweight division.
It really
And
does.
when you
The
say,
Yeah.
when we hear about how good the UFC is, heavyweight division has rarely been their strong suit. Um,
They've had
I,
flashes in the pan
and this
moments.
may be a little controversial statement, but I think the UFC should take that under its wing and really take the responsibility for that and do something about it. And
Like
what I mean
sharpen
by
that
that,
division.
dude, they got to send these guys trainers. They got to do something. They got to get they've got the Performance Institute and all that stuff, but they got to
Mhm.
they got to do something to make these um to get some of these guys in shape so that they can go. Because other organizations have those guys.
Mhm.
Some of the best heavyweights in the world have always been in other organizations. I don't know what it is about the UFC's heavyweight division. They've had the flash in the pans, the Cain Velasquez, the um
Ngannou's.
yeah, and Ghana's
I
like they've
mean,
had
Cormier was
the big
good.
yeah, they've had the big names, they've had the people that could go. They've had the Stipe Miocic who could go 5
Mhm.
rounds, not a problem.
Mhm.
Um, but they've got some guys now that Derek Lewis laid down and stayed there last week, and we talked about that then, so we don't need to do it ad nauseum here. But
Mm-mm.
this fight was very disappointing on the cardio aspect of it. Like it could have been over in the second round, halfway through. Um, and I remember thinking during this fight, if he had just laid on the gas,
Mhm.
this fight would have been over 2 minutes ago, and he wouldn't even be struggling right now. He would not lay on the gas. He just laid off, and that was very disappointing to see, especially on a fight that's on the main card. If I were Dana and the UFC, I would really put forth some strength and conditioning stuff for my athletes.
Stipulations.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if stipulations, but hey,
It's
man,
important, I feel like.
you want a trainer? We're doing a program for the heavyweights. We're trying to get a little more cardio in our heavyweights. We got some guys. They train endurance. Bring them in here. There's a lot of endurance coaches around the world. There's a lot of boxing coaches. There's a lot of wrestling coaches. Like
There is a lot
you
of
don't
that.
you don't see this inactivity in an NCAA wrestling match. Like there's a lot of coaches that can coach them to do this. But but you got to take that in. For some reason, I notice it more in the jujitsu guys, especially at heavyweight, mostly at heavyweight, that they don't have that
They
same
just don't
cardio,
have it.
and I don't know what that's about. But
I think I know you're against the stipulations, but I think in the NFL they do that with certain players
oh,
where,
certain
and
weight
even yeah,
stimulations,
like even outs
stipulations, yeah,
you got to keep some guys like even outside of camp in a certain range so they're not,
yeah.
because
You
it's
can't
good to
go
get
over
in
this
shape
weight.
for camp, but
Yeah,
your body's still, in my opinion, your body's still not conditioned if you're just conditioning it for 2 months or 3 months, whatever it takes you
yeah,
to get down to what you need to get to. You got to build up the endurance and stuff over a long period of time, and you should be living a somewhat athlete's lifestyle if that's your plan
yeah.
for the UFC. And
And the
because the heavyweight division is what it is, you could get away with a lot of things.
hmm
And I feel like a lot of the heavyweights are doing that because, like, yeah, I'll just
yeah,
go in there and lay on top of you in between punches because I'm tired. What are you
and
guys gonna do about it?
and that's not to say they don't work hard.
Oh, no,
but
I'm not saying that for sure, but
there's
yeah.
there's a certain type of training that they need so that they can have endurance. Um, they need to be able to have that output and that recovery, and for some reason, they're just not getting it at that level. They get it at every other weight division, but heavyweight, they do not, and I get it, the guys are big, it's gonna take a lot more to get there, but, you've got examples in the past, and there are whenever you get guys with that type of weight on them, but have somebody that does. I mean, Hockett doesn't have that issue.
Yeah, his background's a little bit different than a lot of these guys, though.
Right, but if you train people,
He's
he
lived an
knows how to
athlete's
train,
lifestyle most of yeah, he's lived an athlete's lifestyle for most of his life.
and he's got some
Um,
pudge on him, but
yeah, for sure.
he can go, Daniel
He
Cormier
can go.
can go. Like,
Yeah, was an
you
Olympian. Yeah,
mhm,
so
you
makes
don't have to
sense.
be a small guy to be able to have that, but,
No,
yeah, I think they gotta do something.
there needs to be an adjustment made. For sure, for sure. We'll see where they go with that. I know they have a very enticing heavyweight fight coming up next week, so can't wait to talk about that one on the next pod.
Enticing?
Um, enticing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Got to leave the setups in there, man. One fight that made me feel really smart was the
Yeah.
Mauricio Rufi versus Rafael Fiziev fight.
Mhm,
Um, I'm not one to brag. Well, maybe sometimes. Let me brag a little bit. I got called out pretty heinously from a few people. This is the most engagement I've gotten on any clip, I feel like, in
yeah,
terms of like individual text message or responses and my DM about it. Um about me being, I guess, fooled by Rufi.
oh,
How did I not see the Fiziev win that was inevitable?
mhm,
Um and almost like I wrote the storyline. The fight went kind of how we saw it. He was flat-footed in front of him for a lot of it. He did
mhm,
apply a lot of pressure.
he did,
Mauricio Rufy is still a counter striker, right? So there is little activity, but he found success with that jab.
mhm.
Um, he found success with that counter as well. Off of that, he didn't really check any kicks, but he found success getting the foot out the way at least, and not just taking a bunch of front foot damage. He took a lot in the first round.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, he got smart with it. He took a lot of front foot damage in the first round. Um, but then he stung him and stung him pretty good because if you stay in that range for too long, man, like
Yeah.
even as a creative striker, you're not quicker than Rufi. You're not landing too much stuff of consequence. He's moving out of the way of a lot of those detrimental shots that you're sending down the line. Um, and you're not realizing that you're putting yourself you're being lulled to sleep essentially. I feel like
Mhm.
Fiziev just got really comfortable being that close. Um, and trying to tee off. And Ruffy sprung and it was a second round finish and it was a great finish. Um, and what did you see outside of me patting myself on the back? What did you see in that fight?
Um, okay. Little bit of a controversial opinion, I'm sure. But
I
if
love
this
those.
if this fight goes to decision, I think Fiziev might win that fight. With the activity,
That's not controversial.
I didn't see. I think he handily won the first round.
Yeah.
Rufi does this thing kind of like Piotr Jan, Floyd Mayweather. They kind of intake information in that first round. Um,
Hmm.
and it also, because you're able to throw so much, you get comfortable throwing so much. So that when he does start his counters in the second and third round, you end up getting caught. And he ended up getting caught. A few things, hindsight's 2020 for Fiziev. And
Hmm.
I'm sure they'll go over this with people a lot smarter than me. Um, leg kicks were working. Leg kicks were working, and he stopped throwing them with frequency. He stopped throwing them with frequency. There were times during the fight I'm like, leg kick, like it's right there. It's right, and he's
Hmm.
hands, hands, hands. And he did throw a lot of kicks, but And he was working the body pretty good as well. Um,
It was.
so Fiziev was having a lot of success in there. I think Ruffy's ceiling on this fight game is going to be when he gets in there with someone who doesn't let up, who doesn't get distracted, because he gives that first round away. And or at least it maybe he doesn't do it in every fight, but this fight he tended to give that first round away. And when you
Hmm.
give that first round away, if you go against the very the very top, um, you're gonna have some issues there. If you don't catch him and those knockouts, they happen a lot for Rufi. His percentage is high with those knockouts, but they don't come every fight. And that can cost you title fights. That can cost you shots at titles and things like that. So I do foresee that being an issue with Ruffy if he keeps it up, because a lot of these fights are 3 rounds. They're not like a 12-round boxing match. They're
Hmm.
not even like a 5-round fight. You know, when he's fighting some of these that are 3 rounds, he really puts himself in danger doing that. However, he's super accurate.
Oh,
Um, I,
yeah, for sure.
I think I told you this. I've never seen anybody fight with that fighting style outside of Conor McGregor in the UFC. When you look at a young Conor and you look at Ruffy, they have very similar styles and body mechanics, and even body types. I'll say the great thing for Ruffy, from a prospect wise, his last fight was Benoit Saint Denis, right?
Yeah.
He came in there looking out of shape. Look at what he looked like walking in the ring with Octagon with Saint Denis, and then look at him walking in there with um, Fiziev.
This one, yeah.
He looks in shape, and I'm
He
gonna
does.
credit that strictly to Volkanovski's camp. Volkanovski is an animal when he trains, and if Ruffy is in there training with him, you know, send the heavyweights to Volkanovski. He'll get you in shape. Um,
I think the flu actually
I
helped.
the
I
what?
don't know if you heard. He was dealing with like the flu
No, I
this
didn't
entire
hear that.
week. Yeah, so he was drained.
Mm, probably helped him make
So
weight.
yeah, it probably did, but he said he was running like an intense fever and they weren't sure if he's going to be able to snap out of it. And
Mm,
he came in there still and performed. And I was just like,
no, that's the
yeesh,
first
maybe
I've heard
that's
of
why
it.
he's so chiseled. Yeah, Volk said
Um,
it in his post fight to like give credit to Ruffy, which, you know,
yeah,
is good to, I guess, make the excuse after you win. But yeah, he wanted to give Ruffy his flowers for still performing, even going through all the stuff he did in this camp. I was like,
yeah, I didn't
it's
know that
nice.
he had the flu. I didn't hear that. This is
Yeah.
the first I'm hearing of it. Um, maybe that played into what he looked like going in, but I saw the countdown as well,
Hmm.
and he looked in shape then.
Hmm.
And the
It was
first
probably
sight of
good.
him, you were like, "Oh, this guy looks in shape." When he was in there against Saint Denis, I didn't think he looked in shape, to be honest with you. Um, and it kinda showed in his fight. So I don't know if that was a fighting nerds thing. I don't know if that was I mean, I'm not gonna
Could have
put it
been a
on there,
preparation thing.
but I would say that the fight the camp with Volkanovski seemed to help. It didn't hurt him at the very least. Um,
It could be a worry about getting tossed around, and maybe you don't add the weight the right way, because
true.
you know what Saint Denis' plan was going in there again. It wasn't to stand in front of him. Um, it didn't work out, but maybe that was the intention. Um, I agree with your stance where if this goes all 3 rounds, Fiziev wins.
Mhm,
I don't think there was much questioning that, especially after how the first round went. It's a lack of activity from Ruffy, and not to jump
mhm.
ahead, but what worries me about Vinicius Oliveira this week, they are very comfortable just waiting for a moment. They won't be the initiator of a lot of exchanges, and when it comes to a certain level of fight, you need to be the guy kind of
Yeah.
creating the interaction and not just waiting to counter.
Well,
Um,
I'll disagree a little bit with that because
I mean,
I don't tend to like counter strikers very much because of what you just said. On
yeah,
the other hand, in some ways, you can be patient enough to make the other guy feel the need to attack. and
Yeah,
uh, and that as part of a game plan. You're 100% right, by the way. When you do that, you run the risk of losing fights. But
by
those
decision or
moments,
you know.
those moments, um, you can look throughout the UFC, and you see, Lyoto Machida,
Hmm.
um, and people like him who were counter strikers who just he waited for them to attack and had spectacular knockouts. Um, Ruffy, even though waiting for somebody to attack, still has those spinning kick knockouts. I mean, and he got Fiziev on this one. So I think it's a valid way to do it. I do. So I kind of made your point for you,
I
but
think it
on
needed.
the
I
other
think it
hand,
needs to be a little bit more activity though.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
you look at like the Izzy trend when he was a quote unquote counter striker.
Hmm.
There was a little bit of initiation there. There's a little bit
That's
of
true.
engagement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To draw somebody out. I'd consider
Well,
Anderson Silva a bit of that
hmm
as well.
and I would say
Uh,
with both of them, they're doing something to draw the person to them, and
yeah.
I think that's what Ruffy should be looking to do. I think that's kind of probably what you're going with here.
Well, he
Yeah,
was having meetings with Izzy, which I think is very important that those two, even if Izzy's just imparting knowledge now,
right.
um, that could be where Ruffy takes the next step. I feel like is
Hmm.
having the opportunity to create engagement, so where you're not giving a whole round and a half away, and hoping the guy makes a mistake. The higher you go, the less you're running into guys who make those mistakes. A la, obviously he won't be fighting in this weight class, but you think of the guy who you went and trained with, Alexander Volkanovski. Those guys don't make too many mistakes in there, and they're gonna get their punches off and win rounds and be okay riding it out to decision and not give you an opportunity to really win. Um, so at a certain point, I feel like there has to be an evolution in your game. He's still early in the game, I feel like, so it's not like absolutely
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah, yeah.
When you go against like a Fiziev, who
Hmm.
I understand what he's been. I think Fiziev again was still punching above his skill set a little bit in the division. Like I think he's good, but I don't think he's top five good. And that
No,
might be like a bad take,
no, he
but
hasn't proven he is.
I thought he was an overperformer. I thought that he was getting good fights, but if you see the good fights he gets, he doesn't win the good fights.
Right.
At least,
Not yet.
Ignacio. We'll see what he turns into. Right, not yet, but he'll beat a lot of the guys he's supposed to beat.
Hmm.
But you put him in there against somebody who has the potential to elevate to that top five,
Yeah.
and then you kind of see. I don't want to say a skill gap. I don't think there was a skill gap in this fight. I think there was just a discipline gap
Right.
for Fiziev.
I.
Um, and he made a mistake.
Yeah.
But ride it out, ride the game plan out. He probably does win by decision. So, um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna make an observation here. I think the there's a difference between skill in the craft
Yeah.
and executing and winning. Um, you can see that in a few different scenarios in fighting, but Fiziev is really skilled technique wise, super skilled,
Hmm.
probably top in the world. Maybe not like the top person, but like, you know, elite level striker. That's probably
Hmm.
true. But does he know how to win fights? John Jones knew how to win fights. He
Yeah, he
was
did.
a blue belt in jujitsu after he was already champion when he got that, and
Hmm.
he's already choking people out. Like he knows how to win. Tom Brady knew how to win. Is Aaron Rodgers more talented? You might be able to make the argument that like his technique is better, or he could throw further, or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But does he know how to win? And Fiziev so far has not shown he knows how to win the big fights. So until he does that, he'll kind of be relegated to that gatekeeper role. But he is super skilled in his craft.
I think gatekeeper is a good term. Not yet, but he is bordering that air. Kind of like this next guy, Dan Hooker, is bordering that air of gatekeeper. Um. So look, we knew the logical pick was BSD. We did. But I was leaning into the fact that BSD would fall in love with the hands and get into a
Mhm.
fight with Dan
Yeah.
Hooker. And when Dan Hooker was sticking to the plan, body kicks galore, BSD
Yeah.
was feeling it.
Mhm.
He was winning. Now, I don't know on this green rock that we stand on what got in his head to decide to try to grapple BSD and take him down. But Dan the psycho hooker, man, he does things sometimes that I don't get.
Yeah.
Things are working out on the feet. You're getting the body shots. You're getting to him a little bit. He's making mistakes. He's putting himself in vulnerable positions. You're getting good shots in. I know
Yeah.
you don't like decision fights, clearly, right? But like
No,
things are
he
going
doesn't.
in your direction, and you get into a sprawl, and instead of trying to stand up, you go for a takedown
Yeah.
in the one area of the fight that we know isn't the successful part of the plan for you. And then that was the writing on the wall. He narrowly escaped the first round when he got taken down, and I was like, okay, he's gonna learn from that. He's not gonna make that mistake again. He was jumping the gilly. I'll allow you to jump the gilly a few
Yeah.
times. On BSD, keep jumping the gilly. Do your thing. Just make sure you don't end up on the ground. And then when they sprawled and he's like, I'm gonna try to take his
Yeah.
it was like a front throw. It was weird. He just put himself in a very vulnerable position and ended up completely underneath BSD. And I don't know if Dan Hooker has been offensive. Was that Herb Dean in there? I don't know. I don't know if he said something to him,
I wanna
but the
say it.
amount of punishment they let him take on the bottom
Yeah.
was kind of ridiculous. And this is as
Yeah.
somebody who wanted Dan Hooker to win. So I was like, if he could just make it to the end of the round as he's getting
Yeah, yeah,
wailed
yeah, yeah,
on,
yeah. He
I was
was
just
he
like, if he
was
could make it
getting
to the end,
Mhm.
right? Because he was doing this little thing where he's getting wailed, he'd just do this.
Yeah.
Pop one hand down
Yeah,
for
he'd throw a punch
activity.
on him. He would throw
He'd
a
be like,
punch. He's getting
he's
creamed.
17 punches, and then he'd go,
Every 15 seconds, he's throwing a punch up at him.
I was like, oh
It kept
God,
the
this is
fight
not
going
real
for
activity.
it it
It's
it
not
gave
real
him
activity.
it gave him a little bit of room to try to do something, but after I think the third one or so, the ref was like, "Nah, you're not keeping the fight going this way.
Gave
You
him
are
a little
not
bit of room to
defending
do
yourself."
something, and probably a year and a half of his memory is gone because he's
Yeah.
just down there taking punches.
Yeah. Yep.
Not any defense. Look, good win for BSD, right? As a guy who likes Dan Hooker, I'm not gonna tell you that Dan Hooker is the most amazing lightweight in the world. We got a
Right.
lot of slack for saying that if he won this fight, he could fight for the belt. I still believe that the UFC would try to sell me that
I
if they
think
had
if
the
he'd have won the
opportunity to.
fight, I think if he'd have won the fight, they would have tried to sell that.
They could have jumped Sarukian and given Gaethje an opportunity to fight again. No one's gonna tell me that that's crazy, right? Granted, it's not the right thing, but I think it
Yeah.
was a possibility because Benoit Saint Denis now is making his claim to fight Gaethje.
And why not?
Exactly. Why not? Right? And I don't necessarily love it, but the other guys ahead are busy
Yeah.
outside of Sarukian. And we don't know what the UFC has against Sarukian currently. I don't know if they're gonna, decide to okay, let bygones be bygones. He cost us a few fights.
I mean,
He is
eventually you
actually the
would think they
guy
would.
that you need to give. Yeah, he's the guy that needs to be
Eventually.
fighting for the belt because that's actually like how these rankings work, and that's what's supposed to happen. And these have to mean something, and he is probably the best prospect outside of Superior in the division. It's time to give him that run, but who knows? He could get skipped again, and if he gets skipped again and the other guys are busy, who's there waiting? Benoit, Saint
Yeah.
Denis.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hearing talks of Dustin Poirier seeing how things shaking out and be like, I'll come back to fight Gaethje. What?
Yeah.
If I see Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier 3 for the defense of the belt, they need to change their logo to the WWE logo. Because at this point, there is no rhyme or reason to the rankings or why we fight. If we could just, turn in a Money in the Bank case and say,
Yeah.
I'm back to fight for the belt because we fought 2 times and I'm a retiree, and the only thing I'm coming back to do is fight for a belt. And y'all let Gaethje fight for a belt when he shouldn't have fought for it. And I'm Dustin Poirier, so let me do that too. Like, what are we doing?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
God,
they would do it.
I know they would.
If Poirier was serious, they would do it. Um, and they would do it, and they would sell it as a numbered card, and they would sell it for um the top undisputed belt, and they would try to sell you that. Um, they shouldn't. Poirier should
They
stay
shouldn't, but
retired.
yeah, he
Poirier should
should.
stay retired. Um, if I'm Gaethje, do you want Saint Denis? I'd rather have Hooker, but only because I think that's the easier fight for him. But you take Saint Denis on the way up, and you say, okay, well, give me him, and then you got a title defense. And if Taporia is still not in the picture, you call it undisputed. Taporia is
I
not
think Saint
disputing
Denis
it
win. I think Saint Denis loses that fight though. I think
to Gaethje.
yeah, I think the success that a guy like Renato Moicano found against BSD and the success that Dustin Poirier found against BSD, we can't just take those losses away because BSD beats Beneil Dariush and Dan Hooker. He did have another one in there that was impressive. It's slipping my mind right now. But the striking ability and the power shots that Justin Gaethje puts on people,
Yeah,
normal people, the shots he was cracking Patty with, it's a TKO, potentially a KO if landed on Saint Denis. Um, just based on how I've seen his chin react to getting, tested, right?
right.
So, yeah, he
Yeah,
beat Ruffy, he beat Prepolech, Dariush, and Hooker. I guess Ruffy's the best one in there, but Ruffy's still a up and comer. So,
I mean, you could make
again, these
you.
are wins,
I think
but
you could make the case that Hooker's the best one in that. Um, yeah, I think so. I think H- Hooker Dariush would probably be a good fight that nobody really wants to see.
I'm
Um,
okay if Hooker decides to stand and fight.
Ruffy
Like,
might be. He's the best striker,
yeah,
but I think Hooker's ground game is better
yeah, I
than
would say that
Ruffy.
too.
So I would say Hooker's probably the best he beat. So he's coming off of that. And if I'm Gaethje, I'd chomp at the bit for that fight just to try to make that happen. Um,
Yeah,
Now I'm not saying
get me
he would
another
win
one
that.
as quick as possible.
Yeah, I'm not saying he would win that fight, but I don't think you want anybody else that's up there, and they're all busy anyway. Because the only other option is Sarukian, and you don't want Sarukian.
Yeah, I think
So
he wins it. I think he wins the BSD fight. I think he wins the BSD brawl. I think the Sarukian one. Um, I haven't seen Sarukian's chin tested that much, but I lean with Sarukian's skill set. Um, and the other guys are busy, whether it's inside
yeah,
the octagon or outside. So,
yeah, and
um,
Sarukian for you know whatever it is. I wonder if Dana said you're never going to get a title shot.
at this point, just release me then.
Yeah,
Just get
but
me out of there, because like I do so many other things that I could go make money off of. Waiting for a championship shot when
yeah,
I've already earned it is insane to me. So
yeah, because you
whatever it
can't
needs to be,
deny
get me
him.
out of there.
He's ready to fight. He should be
Yeah.
fighting Gaethje. That fight should already be lined up. They should
Hmm.
already be deciding, on the date. Um,
Yep.
that should be something that both of them know that the next opponent is Sarukian, and they haven't announced that, which makes me think that they're not going to do it. And if I'm Sarukian, you know, you're wasting valuable years of your career. And Dana's
Yeah.
Dana's reasons for not giving him a title shot could be valid reasons. He doesn't want him representing the company for whatever reason. Um, I know he's had some brush ups with fans and stuff like that. So maybe from that perspective, you're like, we don't want this guy having a title. But then you got to say, well, you can't use that against him. How many times has
Connor.
Dwalishvili had issues with fans?
Yeah.
So he was representing your company, so you can't use that. So I think he should be next. I don't think he will be next because I think they would have already said it. We'll see how it shakes out.
To believe in consistency in the UFC is also kind of
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah,
crazy
yeah, yeah, yeah.
concept. To think that guys are gonna, what worked
Hmm.
for one is gonna work for the other
Yeah,
is unfortunately not how it works.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man. We'll see. I mean, good win for BSD, and we'll see where the chips fall for him. I think he waits for Gaethje or waits for the winner of this Holloway Oliveira fight,
Yeah.
and maybe that's the contender eliminator. Sarukian doesn't exist
Um,
in the rankings.
I mean, if
He's
they
just
wait, if they don't book it before Holloway Oliveira,
yeah,
then you're gonna have the winner of that fight fighting for the title
yeah. It could be they'll
because
put both belts on the line or something or something crazy like that.
wouldn't that get under Toporia's skin?
My gosh, frustrate him. Which I mean, you think Dana would be against doing that? Heck no. He'd
Yeah.
be about
If
bothering
it's gonna
Superior.
sell, that's how you
Yeah,
would sell those fights because do you do you really need to see Holloway Gaethje again? Holloway dominated the fight,
yeah.
you know? Um,
Oliver Gaethje is not necessarily one that I'd care to see either.
yeah.
Again,
I mean, I would watch it. It would be an
yeah.
entertaining fight, but it's
Of course, you're
it's
watching it.
not gonna
I came
be
back and watched Alexander Diego when I knew what the result would be.
yeah,
Like, I'd watch it again. Like, yeah, I like fighting, right? But in reality, the real thing to kind of spice up the division and to give us more life in these early cards too is to mix in. Listen to me, mix in a wrestler. What? Mix in a grappler
yeah.
that is very talented at it and actually aims for submissions and is active
Mhm.
enough. Yeah, throw him in there, right? So, kudos to both guys, but we move on to the main fight.
The main fight.
Volk, Diego Lopez.
Mhm.
Um, Somebody said that Volk had downloaded enough data, and Diego's approach wouldn't change. I don't remember who said that.
I thought you were done bragging about yourself.
um, but no, in reality, like the approach was slightly different, but you have to make pretty big wholesale changes against a guy of that, you know, sharpness in the octagon. And I feel like we didn't do enough on the Diego Lopez side to make this a problem for Volk. There were moments where you think that, exchanges would be going in one person's favor, and it wasn't, you know. I will say I do not see a knockdown on here for Diego Lopez.
They should
That
100% have a knockdown.
that was a knockdown. And the 50-45 guy,
Yeah,
granted,
the
I don't know if they
scorecard
show it. Yeah.
that scorecard was outrageous. I would if you're Diego Lopez, you're upset about the scorecards. You're not upset at the loss.
No, you lost.
But the scorecards, yeah, and he
Yeah.
was upset. He was clearly upset when they said 50-45. I think he knew he lost that fight. Um, the case can be made that it was probably 2-2. If I think that case could be made. But
You'd be pushing it.
Volk won the fight.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at what's popping up on your screen, and people are having the first round different ways and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But this fight really came down to Diego Lopez not being aggressive enough. And for me to
Bingo.
say that,
Bingo.
for me to say
Bingo.
that, I'm a huge Diego Lopez fan. He was not aggressive enough to win this fight.
You
He just was not aggressive enough, and that cost him the fight. There were exchanges where he's hitting. Every time Volk is throwing, Diego's firing right back, and that kept him close. What should have been close on the scorecards, if not even taking a few rounds. Um, a few is too many, 2 rounds or so. I think the first round was probably him, and I think the knockdown should have sealed that round for him. So I think you could reasonably say that, but he just was not aggressive enough. There were exchanges that started to happen that he pulled back on, and we saw that last week. So that excess impatience, I'm wondering if it seems to be a trend going on, and I think
It does.
I think it's hurting some of these fighters. Yes, if you go out there overly aggressive, yes, even just aggressive, you can get knocked out. You can get pieced up. But if you don't, you end up with a fight like this and wondering what if? What if I had pulled the trigger? What if I had actually went out there and done what I thought I could do? And
Yeah,
I
you
don't
got to look at the guys that beat him. You got to. Superior got in. He stayed in the fire, and he was quicker, sharper, and took him
Mhm.
out. Holloway in their brawls left a couple of those looking pretty battered, but he stayed in the heat and he got shots off, and that's why there's discussions about where some of these scorecards landed
Yeah.
in that trilogy of fights, right? And then you look at even Islam. Yeah, Islam's bigger, but he wasn't fighting him on the outside of the head kick one. Like, he was always in
Yeah.
and making it uncomfortable for Volk. And I feel like Diego Lopez was just comfortable being on the outside and not prioritizing closing off the distance.
Well, he was pressuring him, but he wasn't doing it with shots. He was doing it with just movement, trying to pressure and pushing him back by moving forward, but he wasn't moving forward with shots. When we saw Justin Gaethje last week, he was
He
moving
was,
forward with shots. Um,
yeah,
Diego Lopez was not doing that in a sustained fashion. He would have flurries here and there, but anytime there was a flurry, it was like, there's the flurry. Now let me back up. And now I'm going to start moving forward with pressure. And there
you got
were,
to stay there.
I think if he'd have stayed there, you'd have seen a much different fight. Who would have won? Nobody knows. But he didn't do it. And I think that cost him the fight. I think that's ultimately the reason. Volk, and you can go back and even say, you know, Volk could have been more aggressive because he could have been.
Volk could have been, but
I think
why?
he put his he was kind of at risk in a few of those rounds of losing those rounds because he wasn't really aggressive enough. Um, Now you could say he's the champ, and to be the champ, you got to beat the champ and all that other stuff. Um, I just believe you got to beat him, and I think Volk actually put his I think he put the fight at risk with some of his inactivity. Um, and but I think ultimately for Diego, he just wasn't active enough, and I know they said that he may have broken both his feet in that fight, um,
Yeah.
but it was in the fight that he was already pretty much losing the fight. So I don't think that changes the outcome. And he said no excuses, but they still put it out there, which is fine, I guess. But
If you hurt your feet, you hurt your feet, and I get that.
yeah,
But
but
if anything, that
aggressiveness,
tells me you plant yourself in front of him and you just try to swing. You don't keep bouncing
yeah.
around and staying on the outside. Like, I expect you to get more flat footed and not want to move too much on them if they're broken. I've never had broken feet, but like, I don't know how constant movement is a solution to that if that's the case, right?
Well, I,
And
it depends on how you break it.
yeah,
I've had a broken foot. Mine was not to where I couldn't move, but if you shatter the right bone or whatever, you could. He obviously was able to move
yeah,
because
pretty well
nobody knew
on
he
it.
broke his foot until they said something afterwards. So I
Yeah.
think that's really a non-starter in this fight. I mean, sure, it probably hurt him some, but I think it was in a fight he was already losing. So you tell me he broke his feet 2 weeks before the fight, maybe we're having a different conversation. But and I love Diego Lopez. I don't think he gets a title shot in the next 2 years. Um,
I mean, there's the thing with him though is against people who aren't Volkanovski, he will do something spectacular. Like, Gene Silva was blitzing him. Granted, Gene Silva put himself in danger. He
yeah.
stood in the danger and hit him with a spinning elbow. Now, again, he caught Volk. I want it to be very clear. He caught Volk and
Oh,
dropped
yeah,
him in the
he
third
did.
round.
Yeah.
right? It was very clear. They kept calling it a slip until they're like, wait, it wasn't a slip.
His corner was
Um,
telling him, "No, no, no, it was a slip." He knew.
yeah, yeah, he got
Volkanovski
caught
knew.
and he popped right up. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Kudos to him for popping up and adjusting so quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
but there were moments like that where against a lower level fighter, Diego Lopez will still have moments like that.
But yeah, yeah.
And I will say it won't be against Volk again. He'll have to wait until Volk's gone. I think they won't have a trilogy with Diego Lopez
No.
and Volk
Yeah.
for a while. If somebody else takes the belt and Diego Lopez does something spectacular again, I could see him rejoining that group of people who are waiting for that shot.
Yeah, he could
And
do that.
anything could happen.
So I think the reason, you know, it'll be so far off is Volk looked so good. His coach was even outright saying, "I think we got another good, what do you say, 4 or 5 fights in him." And to me, I mean, he looks good, but eventually age
It's good
catches
to
you.
look good.
Go out
It's
on
good
top.
to look good.
I think he should have
It's
retired.
good to look good.
He won in Australia. He should have retired. But if the man wants to keep going, he wants to keep going. But he's in shape. He's in shape, and Silva tried to call him out. I think you got to wait on that. Um,
I mean, there was reference to like Armin Sarukian coming down to fight
oh my
him, which was
gosh,
hilarious.
think he could make that weight?
Um, that was the joke. They don't know if he'll be able to make it, because he's already so like cut at the weight he
Yeah,
is. And then there was talks about him going up potentially to fight for that belt.
fighting
Mm,
Gaethje.
yeah, like
You imagine him
it's
getting
it's
hit
a,
by Gaethje? Oh my
I can
gosh.
I just don't think Gaethje's as fast as Top, so maybe that's where the
Right.
differences are, where he could survive. But I don't want to put him at risk like that necessarily,
Yeah.
because if he does get caught, that is a very heavy-handed lightweight to go up against.
Yeah. But Volk
Maybe
looked
make
good.
he did look good against the right guy. I'm not trying to take it away, but I'm
I mean, he's one of the more exciting fighters in that division.
and that is a pretty loaded division. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean kudos. No, well featherweight, not really. I forgot. I was grouping him in with the
The
lightweights,
lightweights.
but featherweight, I think there's some good featherweights in there still, but he is the cream of the crop there. So
I actually wonder if Diego Lopez shouldn't move up in weight. He's
nah,
got the height for it.
yeah, but
You
nah,
know, he's got to cut like mad.
yeah, he definitely does. But I think part of the chin strength that he walks around with is because he's fighting featherweights.
Certainly. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you take that risk if you need to. If you don't need to, you fought for two belts already.
Yeah.
You got outclassed by the same guy twice now. Can his career follow the track of a Max Holloway? Right, except the
Yeah.
only difference is Max was a champion and
Yeah.
then ran into Volk. And say what you want to say about that exchange. He got a little bit too old to keep cutting. Looks great at lightweight. Maybe his path can follow that.
Right.
But Max is not usually one to get hit that much. Diego Lopez defends with his chin and his
Yeah.
head a decent amount.
Yeah. He needs to correct that.
So that's the differences, I feel like, in terms of durability. But me personally, I think he should stay where he's at and just take more risks. If you're already confident enough to play the type of defense and fight the type of style that you fight on the front foot, um, pair that with some offense behind that. If you're already going to take the damage and take the punches, put yourself in a bit of danger to see if you could get what you need to get out of it. Um, you missed the moment this time, but
Yeah.
it only takes one or two moments again to get back in that mix, and who
Yeah.
knows what happens in a year. So
Well, interestingly enough, then, who do you think he goes to fight?
Diego Lopez or
Volkanovski.
Volk?
If you were to, I think Diego Lopez goes to Yair Rodriguez. I think that's his
That
next
still
fight.
works. Yeah, that
But,
still works for you. Yeah,
um, but I think, and actually, it's another top 5 win. So you know,
yeah.
if he wins it, um, but where do you think Volt goes?
If I'm Volk, I'll try to get LaRon Murphy on that next UK card. Um, you know, something like that, or Mov. If you could get Movzar in the ring fighting, um, that's the next guy. Again, these names aren't exciting, but they're the up and coming prospects with the undefeated or close to undefeated records, right? Um, you know, I think the stat was Diego Lopez has had 2 title fights in the span of time that Movzar has had 2 UFC fights.
So can I show you something? Because I just looked it up.
Yeah, go ahead. They did that.
They did
When
that.
is that?
March
March
21st.
21st. They did
I
that.
just
Okay,
looked it
good.
up. To that, because
That's definitely a title eliminator.
I was looking at Mozart because I figured you would say those two names because those are the two names I was looking at too. So I looked up to see if Evloev has anything coming up, and that's when I saw the Murphy fight.
And this is gonna
So
sound like a negative Nancy type of comment, but he needs to make it to that fight and fight before I get too excited for it.
Evloev,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
he's got to get there. He's got to get there. He's got to. I gotta see the octagon close with him in it before I get excited for that fight
yeah,
right
he's
now. Because unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy enough to, be active enough to get what he was looking for.
yeah. He's got the ranking, but
He
he doesn't
does.
have the
It's
name.
beautiful. You know who else got the ranking? I mean, it's not his fault, but you know who else got the ranking?
Who's that?
Um, gosh, his name just evaded me. Fought Ian Gary and beat him. Is back out for
Oh,
another
yeah,
year because of re-injury.
yeah, Shavkat.
Yeah, it's always gonna be a what if because like he's always been the guy. If we don't see you in there, whether it's because of injury or whatever else, like it's beautiful to have that ranking. Granted, but you're gonna come back with that ranking and then what?
Yeah,
You know, it'll be a cool story, a cool anecdote in the history of the UFC. This guy was once the second ranked um championship contender for 2 years straight, but never fought for the belt.
we got to do our what ifs podcasts.
We got to. We got to. What if he
Yeah.
didn't get his leg tore up? Like, where does Chef got go? Where's
Oh
the
my
next fight for
gosh.
him? Right.
Yeah.
Um, we'll get to it. I promise we will. We're being consistent. It's just we got a lot of fights to cover in the
A
beginning of the
lot of
year.
fights. A lot of fights.
Paramount's just dropping them, dropping them, dropping them. I mean, before we got on here, we find out a friend of
Woo! Friend of
ours
the
is
program,
getting
as
the
it were.
friend of the program. I know you don't watch, but if there's a Nico Price fan group,
Bro. Love
I
Nico
need I need
Price.
to be a card. I need to be a card carrying member. Um, yeah. So stuff like that's happening consistently at the beginning of the year, and that's why you're seeing our faces so much on all platforms. So
Mhm.
appreciate the support.
Yeah.
We're gonna be here talking about fights after and before, giving you guys our insight on how we see it shaking up, and then giving you our takes on how it went. This has been the UFC 325 review. Any closing thoughts, Roger?
Nah, I'm just excited for next fights. They're coming up this week. They're going to be a good one. And Nico's back. Last
Stay
minute
tuned.
fight. So
Stay tuned.
love it.
Is he in shape? Who knows? Is he going to go
Who
out there and throw
knows?
punches? We know that's the case. And I can't wait to cover
Exciting
it
fighter
with,
to watch. I hope he's in shape. I hope he comes and I hope he brings it.
and I'm excited to talk about it. So we'll see y'all on the next one. Thank you again. Peace.